This is how the world I knew ended. By...
Breathed in fire.
Keep the night penitent.
He survives in the...
They burned him. He offered himself up and those damn knights burned him.
Leave her be.
I'll not have the faithful of Inarius shedding tears for a sinner. I won't say it twice. Where's your decency? Clear off! And you, your Prava's abandoned lapdog. Is that right? What a...
That sick bastard has probably already sent his... Dead.
You there! Please help!
Madness.
You there! Why do you approach the house of a known heretic? The Nine?
I wish you'd arrived a moment sooner.
Wanderer. So many corpses. Always leading to you. And who is this? I am here to...
There's something that makes me chuckle.
Back in line! You want in?
Why does the horse have to get caught on things?
Iron Wolf.
Literally, why?
Axes, armor, pots and pans. Lucky day. Faye, we have a guest.
Yes, Papa.
Guardsmen, how many?
More than usual. The gate won't hold.
They must not breach the city.
Get in the wagons!
Ha! You're as scrappy as Loreth said. We don't. Back to the hells with you! They take everything. Flesh, gear, hell. Even the grass isn't spared. The rot is thick to the east. Let's clear it out, stop it spreading. Charge now. The hollows run thickest there.
They keep coming. We're going to die here. It's Rahel!
Only 2 gods. Where are the rest?
They won't stop. Each kill brings 2 more. We're the only ones left.
Calm yourself. We're going to finish this fight, and then drinks are on me. You hear? More on their way. Eyes up, backs together. Steady. Akarat's breath. Together. Cut it down.
Nayrel was travelling by boat. The old bridge should have a good vantage of the river.
This is not good. Then let's search the river. Bound to be some sign of your friend. Someone up ahead.
Ah! Yes, I knew it! I knew those thugs couldn't kill you.
A friend of yours? You're being hunted by the Cathedral of Light?
Me and Nayrel, both.
Of course they locked it down. Old friends. Oh, yeah. You fight well. I thought you said you're a healer.
Among other things. I serve the spirits first.
Oh? And do they often bid you to do this much violence?
Only when there's something new.
F the rope. Always have a backup, I used to tell them.
Blue boots with movement speed, very good.
Mosier than I remember it.
I took shelter from a monsoon here once.
Me too. More than once. It's perfect for what I'm planning. Years ago, I ran a mercenary company out of this place. The Pale Hand. I had less to lose then. But now, the fight's been brought to me. And I think I'd be more used to you as a mercenary, a shield for hire, if you will, than a smith. Though there's a chance you'll get both out of me. And my name still carries weight. The other mercenaries will be more likely to return if I am here. And you help.
I love it when people don't realize that, like, I can see my follower list.
Into your service.
Or, like, because I'm trying to grow as a streamer, right? I pay pretty close attention to the number of like followers that I have, because I'm really close to 500. So I notice going up or down one follower. It cracks me up.
He's strong. We can get a good view of the river from the southern cliffs. Let's start our search there. Something the matter?
No. No, I'm fine. Nayrel was here.
You said she kept a prisoner. Of what nature?
A moment of rest.
The docks are north.
Someone must have seen Nayrel. I should ask around.
Is she still inside?
Don't say I didn't warn you.
The place is cursed.
Spirits. What happened here? Did Nayrel do this? Hollows.
This is the kid bin, child.
In here, it's an archive of sorts. Ugh. More of that foul stuff.
Looks more like a madman's den than an archive in here.
Huh. Would you believe it was both? She must have been looking for something. See what you can find. Traveling card.
I saw the lion!
A drag infestation. Help me uproot it. Thank you. Now,
Yellow boots,
could you
good.
clean up their mess? This place was meant. Henny, you we should consider. Join me, will you?
Swell, sir.
To make things worse, the whole city is walled off. To keep us out, or Neirel in, I don't know. I'll need to...
Wehacho akarat. Haeopa. Lakusa ipakun kehegan.
The spirit lights our path. So long as you stay close. So, stay close.
Come back! You won't survive out there! They're closing in. Stay with the light! Come back! You won't survive out there! Haeopa. Lakusa ipakun kehegan. Wehachu akarat. Hawapa! Lakusa ipakun kehegan!
We'll need to... Let's be honest. The durance of hate. Mephisto's prison once. Now, something else. I'd hoped to never come here.
We must trust...
Who else?
You. Yes, you. Eru sent me.
We leave nothing standing.
Akarat insisted we find Abulan, and that's what I intend to do.
Oh? Eru speaks with the great Akarat? How novel.
I'm being serious, Ormus.
And who are you?
Looking a little pale? What's wrong? Tata takes the spirit's hand. Spirit and spirit. But Tata is bonded with death. He can never return home. Never will. You saved. The Undercity is through here. Let's see what it says.
We hope you...
I hear your voice, Master.
So I'm exactly tied. I don't have movement speed boots. Well, I have blue boots, but I don't have yellow boots that have movement speed on. So it's going to be really close, and that's only if I execute very well. Also, you guys can't hear this, but I'm getting browser notifications. It sounds like I might have emotes in my inbox. So whenever this run is done, if there's anybody watching, remind me to check for emotes.
to keep looking.
Never gets old. Look, my hands are shaking.
Let's hope Albulan feels the same way about seeing you again.
You will be given.
Piwu keu, weko ho wubicha, ki hape ba.
Abulan? Abulan!
Something's not right.
Oh no.
Hollows him.
Ah! What's this now?
I'll handle this.
I did it. I did it. I did
Yo,
it.
thank you for the follow. I did it. 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 I did it.
Why did I have to be the one to choose?
Welcome in.
Did I even choose right?
She cannot.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you appreciated it. I feel like, given the time constraint, trying to keep it to half an hour, we didn't get the
I can know more.
opportunity to discuss a lot of the like nitty-gritty, nuanced stuff of speedruns. But welcome in. Right now, we're actually at an exciting moment, like today specifically in Diablo 4 speedrunning history. For the first time, I have a real rival. I'm very excited. I've wanted someone to compete with for a long time. A German runner who I met the other day, friendly guy, submitted a Vessel of Hatred expansion run. My best times were in the 71 to 73 minute range, depending on class. And he submitted a 69-minute run on Rogue. He had messaged me a couple of days prior and said, like, hey, I really want to get into speedrunning, but I'm busy, so it's hard to find a big chunk of 3 hours for these, like, campaign or Uber Lilith categories. Is there something I can do to make it shorter? And I was like, yeah, you could run the expansion, because the expansion has, like, a 75-minute category. And he was like, that sounds perfect. That's exactly the right size of time that I can get, like an hour, hour and a half. And then he submitted an absolute banger of a run for Rogue. And so I'm really excited. So I've been spending all day. You know, I don't know if you know how the leaderboards are moderated, but when someone submits a run, someone else needs to look at it and affirm that it was compliant with all of the rules. So, I verified his run this morning. There's sort of a, if you submit runs, you should become a moderator and verify other people's runs. So I watched his run all the way through. He followed all the rules, and he had some, like, sick quality of execution. He chose slightly different skills than I would have, and it seems like he had some good ideas that hadn't occurred to me, which is nice. Really pushing the meta forward, so to speak, which is dope. So it seems like a really exciting day. They're finally, you know, another,
If you consider
a new top-level competitor, which is nice.
that'll be the ritual.
That is a complicated question. The short answer is that if you are the type of person who likes optimization and enjoys min-maxing things, vanilla Diablo 4 gameplay will give that to you. Give me a second, I need to focus and remember the route through this dungeon. So, that's one thing. The other big thing is there's not a lot of social prestige in this as like an outlet within the game, right? If you think of someone who's really good at the game, right? You think of someone who's like a guide author for Mobalytics or whatever, right?
Don't you remember me?
Or for Maxroll or whatever. You think of Woody Joe, you think of Rex and Terex, you think of Rob, you think of Cliptus, you think of
We can't let him die for
Dioxide, you think of Immortalize, you think of Makuna, those sorts of people, right? And that means that if you're an optimization person who wants social prestige, it's probably the case that you do not need to speedrun anything in order to accumulate that sense of accomplishment. And your desire for a sense of accomplishment and your satisfaction in having something to optimize are already satisfied by like vanilla gameplay and through avenues other than this sort of leaderboard competition. The other thing is that I think that the game, compared to other ARPGs, Diablo 4 is particularly unsatisfying to run. And what I mean by that is that if you look at the granddaddy of them all for ARPG speedrunning, which is Diablo 2, Diablo 2 had a long history of having in-game seasonal leaderboards, first person to level 100, as a thing. Right. And that means that it means that the skill set for Diablo 2 to like be at the top of that leaderboard is nearly identical to the skill set for speedrunning. Meaning, like, the way that you end up being the number one on the in-game leaderboard is nearly identical to campaign speedrunning. So even if you don't think that
he's still here, a good sign Nerel is still holding on.
Even if, for example, to pick a couple of people, even if Mr. Llama does not end up getting to number one on the leaderboard in a given season, the fact that he's a world record speedrunner means that he will also show up at the top of the in-game leaderboard. And then when you go watch him stream, it's obvious that he can do things that you can't. Because he's better at the game mechanically, meaning he's faster in the menus, his combat is more precisely placed, things like that. And then, and it's less mechanically obvious. Like, there are things that I can do and things that I know how to do that other Diablo 4 players won't be, like, able to do. Like, if you're a Diablo 4 player and you've played for a season or two, but you've never thought about optimizing against a timer, you'll probably have a number of misconceptions about speed leveling. And so when you watch me, it'll seem different, but you won't know, because there's no leaderboard to motivate this belief for you, you won't know that I'm doing something that's actually mechanically faster. Whereas in Diablo 2, it is more obvious. The other thing is, since there's a very, very, very low mechanical skill ceiling in Diablo 4, right? If you take someone who is world-class at an individual class, like let's say that you think of Rob as a really good barbarian. He spent a year digging deep into the barbarian skill tree, right? You're gonna... And then you put me, a good player, but not a barbarian specialist, on barbarian, I will be able to get up to Rob's level of mechanical skill in doing barbarian-specific things in like a day. Like, that's not true of almost any other competitive video game outlet, right? If I take a Counter-Strike player who uses rifles and a Counter-Strike player who is a sniper, and we have them switch primary guns, they will not be able to perform at each other's level, generally speaking.
I had what?
Because the skill sets are non-overlapping. And that's just not true, because the mechanical skill ceiling in Diablo is very, very low. So, it doesn't allow for the full range and gamut of mechanical skill and game knowledge and specialization that other ARPGs would. So, for example, if you watch the outright fastest Path of Exile 2 speedrunners in the world, they will not only have game knowledge that you don't have, and it'll be obvious from watching them that they know things that you don't know, but it will also be the case that they are doing things in terms of mechanical skill that you can't do. Like, not without practice. For example, if I've spent a year blasting on Diablo 4, and I think about timer optimization, and then I get to know all of Path of Exile systems, which I do, I will not be close to the level of someone like Angormus. Angormus is a Path of Exile 2 speedrunner. He won all 3 of the in-game developer-sponsored races. And that ends up putting him in a situation where, like, if I wanted to get as good as Angormus, I would need to not only learn new additional specialized things about Path of Exile speedrunning, like how to interpret the map layout to guess where the exit is based on the initial input direction, but also combat-based things that he can do that I can't. For example, one of the most powerful skills in Path of Exile 2 speedrunning is called Perfect Strike. It's a melee skill that's done with maces. And what it is you channel for 5 seconds, and if you let go at exactly the right time, you do 500% as much damage as you otherwise would do. But you have like a quarter of a second window to let go. What that means is that you have to stand there completely vulnerable for 5 seconds, and if you're ever hit, it disrupts your channeling as you wind up for your big smash him with a hammer attack. What that ends up meaning is that if you know the exact audio cues in the dialogue before a fight starts, you can time your channel such that on the first frame of the boss being vulnerable, you smash them for 70% of their total HP. And if you fuck it up by even a quarter of a second, fuck you, GG. That's it. Since boss fights generically take 2 or 3 minutes in a Path of Exile speedrun, and there are 15 or 20 bosses, knocking 70% off of the base HP of every single boss is saving 2 minutes per boss, which is 30 minutes in the base speedrun, right?
I could use some assistance.
That's an enormous amount. 2 minutes, 15 bosses, that's 30 minutes of timing, and it's a 2-hour race. So if you miss one, you're 2 minutes behind someone who does know that. And that not only requires an incredible reflexive mechanical skill, but an incredible amount of practice. And when you watch someone do it, it is super obvious to you as a spectacle that they're doing something that you can't do. Consequently, there's a lot of, like, social prestige in being really fucking good at perfect strikes, because when people watch it and you're faster than them and there's a developer-sponsored race and they win it consecutively by doing this thing that you can't do, you want to watch and learn from them. That motivates other people to want to achieve that thing and push through the hundreds of hours of practice it would take to get as good as Angormus, because then there's a social incentive for that. Whereas in Diablo 4, when people watch my speedruns, it is not generally speaking obvious to them, like, that I am faster than them, and if it is obvious to them that I'm faster than them, it's not obvious why. Because there's very little spectacle in it.
They were wanderers too. Only they never met Journey's end.
So, like,
Look.
A lot of things. I think that there are a lot of reasons. When I watch a Diablo 2 speedrunner, any of the top 15 or 20 Diablo 2 speedrunners, like Kano or Mr. Lama SC or Boxer or Gymnasium or Lucky Luciano or Macrobio Boy, or like all these different people who have competed at the top of those Diablo 2 leaderboards, even as someone who has spent hundreds or thousands of hours in a similar game, Diablo 2 and Diablo 4 are different games, but they are similar. They're the same genre of game. It still blows my mind the things that I see people get away with, or the amount of like rapid, perfect decision making that people do.
You missed that dusty old hole in the ground.
Well, I guess I missed you.
Right, and I don't think that if someone watches me... What's the breakdown between just researching online, watching streams versus actively playing percentage-wise? I'm sure you analyze build guides and forums. That's hard to answer. For the most part, the stuff that I do is so specialized that it's like pretty dissimilar to what other people are doing. For example, I think that I answered the question about like, what's your favorite build to speedrun with? I think I answered that question poorly in the interview. Partially because build is sort of the wrong word for a Diablo 4 speedrun. What I mean by that is like, build implies that I'm like at some finished state, but I never am, because I'm leveling up throughout the whole thing, so I don't have a build. I have a route, or like a plan, if that makes sense, right? So I'm not really thinking in terms of like, oh, here's the end goal objective. So for example, like when we were talking about builds in the interview, I say like, oh, if you want to break a world record, you can't do it on an off-meta build, ha ha ha. That's not quite true. The build, the differentiation between
incredible. That skeleton
the differentiation between like me running to Uber Lilith super fast and other people running to Uber Lilith super fast in terms of skill choice, right? In terms of like me deciding what items to use and what choices to make on my skill tree is super specialized to doing things with a timer. For example, if someone asks me, hey, I want to play a Necromancer this season, what should I do to... Actually, here's an even better example. If someone asks me, hey, I'm going to play a Sorcerer this next season and I want a leveling guide, and they're happy to do one thing for leveling and a different thing once they hit level 60, and they wanted to imitate what I would do if I were trying to level up as fast as possible, I couldn't say, put your next point in this. Because there are multiple points where, while I'm speedrunning, I get to a level, and then I take points out of some skills and put them in to other skills. So I would be like, okay, put your points in A, B, C, and D. And they'd go, okay. And then I'd go, well, then when you hit level 8, take 3 points out of D and put them back into A. And they'd go, okay. And I go, then when you hit level 12, take those points back out of A and put them back into D, and then take 2 points out of B and put them into C. Then, when you hit level 15, you're allowed to temper. So take all those points out of C and assign them to a new skill, E. You're no longer using C. And use this temper in order to make best use of skill E. And they go, okay. And I go, then when you're level 25, in the speedrun, you're allowed to use legendary aspects. So once you have a legendary aspect, take the points back out of A, B, and E, and put them back into this. And, like, that's insane. That's an insane, like, set of instructions, right? And I'll be like, oh, and while you're moving these things in and out of your skill tree, don't stop doing combat while you're taking points in and out. Like, mechanically practice opening your skill tree, putting a point in, closing your skill tree, and fighting while you're doing that. What? Like, the campaign speedrun on Sorcerer, there's an important fight that you take at level 12. That fight occurs at the end of a long dungeon that requires a long amount of running. Like, you just have to run a long distance. Well, that means that you want to have extra points in things that give you mobility, but then that mobility doesn't help you during the fight itself, right?
Thanks to you.
So, you end up needing to, like, put points into teleport, so that way you can get through the dungeon faster, but then take those points out of teleport and put them into a damage passive that will help you during the fight itself. Does that make sense? So, like, you'll have 5 points in teleport, because that shortens teleport's cooldown, but then you want to take points out of teleport and put them into, for example, glass cannon, because glass cannon will allow you to do other things faster. Does that make sense? So, like, during this fight, I take points out of teleport and put them into glass cannon, and then after the fight, I take them out of glass cannon and I put them back into teleport for the running sections. And the same is true while I'm, like, doing general leveling up speedrunning.
I offer a choice. You were a power-hungry tyrant, Yurivar. But at least you were honest about it, in the end. Prava will be pleased to have the cathedral back under
So,
their thumb.
like, what build am I doing is, like, I'm dynamically changing things, and because I'm not allowed to use, and because I'm not allowed to use certain, like,
I'm so sorry.
because I'm only allowed to use items that I find during the run itself, right?
Of course you wouldn't.
There are choices that I have to make
But I have
that are
remembered
motivated by, like, that limitation.
Please.
Go.
Right? So if I find a really good
Just go.
legendary before level 25, when I otherwise wouldn't be allowed to use a legendary because I can't imprint anything at the occultist, that ends up resulting in, like, me changing my skill build on the fly. Like, a good example in the Lilith category is that you have to figure out some way to have the correct elemental resistances and maxed out armor, otherwise Lilith is going to kill you, right? So that can come in a number of different forms, and it depends on what item you get, right? If you get, for example, a pair of Yen's Blessing, which are boots that give you resource generation, movement speed, all stats, and resistance to all elements, then you can change what you're doing in order to make use of that pair of Yen's Blessing. If you don't find Yen's Blessing, and you instead find, for example, Tyrael's Might, then now your boot slot is open when it otherwise would not have been, right? And so, like, okay, my boot slot being open is not a normal, like, thing, because I expect to have boots of whatever type and end up, like, I'm not anticipating finding random overworld uniques, but sometimes it happens. And so you need to have enough game knowledge to dynamically alter your build. So there is no, like, perfect build, because the item RNG in the 1-to-Uber Lilith category requires you to know a lot about things. This is also why Cliptus's Barbarian World Record is so cool to me, because he went in saying, like, I need to find some way to generate earthquakes. I don't know what it is. It depends what items drop to me. And then at a very low level, he found a tech rune when he wasn't, like, he doesn't have control over whether or not he finds a tech rune on the ground. He just found one. And because he's a barbarian expert and he was playing a class he's deeply comfortable with, he immediately went, oh, a tech rune generates earthquakes, and that means I can use this set of legendaries to complement it. Right? And that's, like, not a skill that you can super easily teach people. You just have to go, like, yeah, well, Cliptus is, like, a baller and knows a fuckload about barbarians. And so when he found, like, a tech rune, he immediately went, oh, well, that means I can, like, use this tech rune. I just need to find some other rune that activates it. And a good activator rune would be a Bach rune, or I guess a Moni rune. And then, like, 45 minutes later, he finds a Moni rune. And that influences his decisions on the skill tree while leveling and, like, what he prioritizes. And then he ends up getting an absolute banger time. and it's 100% a consequence of him having thought about all of the different variants of possible earthquake build, and knowing that the meta is like earthquakes are the way to do it because this set of legendary powers overlaps and like is extremely useful. Does that make sense? So like, I don't generally have a pre-planned build that I get to stick to. Another example of this that I think is an even better example is like, when I was running on Spiritborn, you need to find some way to generate enough barrier. And usually, on an endgame Spiritborn, you can choose the optimal one, which is the rune word Pak Quay. But finding 2 very specific runes is hard. Right? You don't get to choose that. Oh, wait, whoops. Oh, nice.
I'm sorry.
Right? So, that question of like, how do I generate barrier? I learned a lot by not finding POC runes. And there's no build guide on like Maxroll or Mobilytics or whatever that will be like, oh yeah, if you don't find a POC rune, you can use Loyalty's Mantle and change your Spirit Hall to be Gorilla instead of using Harmony of Ebewaka and having your Spirit Hall be Jaguar Gorilla in order to get enough barrier to activate Visca's Shield. Right? Like, that's just not... Because they would just be like, just trade for the better item. Or like, just go kill the boss until you find the better item. But for me, if finding the better item takes 20 minutes or 30 minutes extra, then that's so much worse than having the correct item that I'm just fucked forever. Right? Like, I just lose.
Ah, there.
Is this really the tomb? I thought it would be...
What's this?
An altar. No. I don't want to hurt anyone else. Don't let me out of this cave, please. Cheers. Chacham.
So, like, part of the... To get to your question about, like, how do I... Like, the core of your question, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is, like, how much time do I spend planning versus playing? Right, that's slightly different than the question that you asked, but that's a close question to what you asked, I think. It depends, is the short answer. The longer answer is like, well, generally speaking, at this point, there's not a whole lot that's new until there are patch notes. Like, I tend to know what's going on.
Where is it? What was that inscription? Ban kike, ban lucha, ban kiksene wekoho. Nothing's happening. I don't... How did you know to do that?
I didn't. Not for sure. But you told me. When I heard you... this path.
Am I at 498 followers right now, by the way? What follower number do you guys see? Also, sorry if I stop reading chat as much and you ask something. I'm on banger pace. I need to break not 109.10 in order to.
Cannot be made right, Nerel. They cannot be undone.
I know. In the grasslands, we read of safeguards one of the dedicants built in this tomb.
Tread carefully. Understood.
I'm currently on pace, but you know how it is. Being on pace is a guarantee of nothing. I take that back. Being on pace is a guarantee of being on pace.
A trial, perhaps. The floor! Falling away. Are they reaching, or are they letting go? Maybe we need to let go of something as well. A sacrifice. The stone. Take it.
You know that won't work. It is bound to you.
I've lost everything else. My mother, my arm, myself even. What more do you want from me?
The empty space they left. What have you filled it with, Nerel?
Grief. Guilt. Enough. I let it all go. No. An empty room?
Far from it. That veil.
Lighting one makes another go out.
There must be a certain order. What's this? I can't move.
This trial wasn't meant for us.
It seems I've lost a step in my old age, eh, Dekade?
Lost souls! All of you!
It's so dark. I repented. Do you think I was too late?
Oh, Vigo. It was us who was too late.
Remember, cursed are we who must remember.
After everything brushed aside.
I never forgot you, Donan. Never.
Oh, those ghosts.
Not ghosts, but constructs of the tomb.
Must be.
What ritual? Keep them away from Akarat! None of your attacks are doing anything! I know you're tired, Akarat. We need you just one more time.
You were not so frail when last we fought, Akarat. It was a waste to give away your strength to this mortal. She will rot. Your gifts will rot with her. By my hand or by time, death is the first weakness of humans.
Death does not make us weak, Wolf. It makes us matter. You are a given, but we are miracles, each.
Akarat is attacking him from within! Mephisto is vulnerable now! Look! A shred of Akarat's essence. Take it! He's sacrificing himself to hurt Mephisto!
Risk the whole of your lives for mere
Moments without me.
But eternity is my domain. I will rejoin you soon.
There's too many!
Which will it be, Lion? Will you sacrifice them to kill this sliver of me? How human of you.
Thank you, Akarat.
The seeds of Eru's betrayal were sown by your disregard for his precious spirit realm. You placed your quest above Nahantu, above him. It was little effort to sway him to my side.
But this is the only way! Honor his sacrifice! Make it count! That corpse blood. He's here somewhere. Stop running and... Oh, Eru. You used to sing me a song. I can almost remember it sometimes. But then, it's gone. Like you never sang it at all. Maybe. That smell. You don't forget it. Was here. Left his workbench a mess. Again. Let's take a look around. He may have left something useful behind.
Lorath left a letter for you.
I thought he might.
Saw my corpse. My mouth called hatred.
I recognize this. Rathma's prophecy. Lorath always dismissed it. What would change his mind?
Can't believe you actually found her.
Who are you?
Friend of a friend. I've been...
We can't keep running. Let's hear what Prava has to say.
Once I get started, I can't be stopped.
A wanderer and a heretic both. Welcome.
If something happens...
I'll be ready.
I hear...
A friend of the...
Ooh. 108